What's up, y'all? Today we have the 2022 Mercedes C-Class, and check it out. You are greeted when you unlock the vehicle with the Mercedes emblem on the ground, and in this night video there is so much to see with the exterior lighting, the awesome interior ambient lighting, and we're gonna get it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get started. Welcome everyone. Let's now take a look at the exterior details of this C-Class. If this is your first night review, I make them on a regular basis, so be sure to check out some more and be sure to watch the full daytime review here as well. There is some mist coming off of from some sprinklers in the background, so that's what you see there. So right up front, you're gonna get LED headlights standard. That's gonna be on every single model. There are optional upgraded headlights that are adaptive that I'll talk about, but these ones are not it. But you've got a daytime running light, LED high and low beams. This one's dressed in the polar white paint with the optional 19-inch wheels and the AMG night package here with the different dark accents. It looks nice and fairly sinister with some of those dark accents with this white paint. And you can see the marker light on the side, the marker light in the back. You'll see the mirror has the turn signal in it, and the daytime running light turns into the blinker here. The rear tail lights are actually fairly dimensional, so take a look at this. It's a really unique pattern. You've got an amber colored blinker, and there's some depth to those tail lights, and that is the actual rear fog light on this driver's side here. LED license plate lights as well, and let's look at the brake and reverse lights. Now closing in, just a quick look at the cargo area. This is a power operated trunk, and you've got some LED lighting in the trunk. It's not super bright, but there is one LED light up there, and it lights up this 12.5 cubic foot trunk decently. This is not a metallic-y paint, otherwise I would show you that it is just a pure white paint. But check it out, the back seat even gets ambient lighting in here, in the door, down at the feet. It's really cool. There's no charging ports back here, which is surprising, so no backlit buttons for that. But you've got LED overhead lighting on each side for the back seat. As you saw earlier, when you unlock or approach the vehicle or do the door handle lock, you're gonna get that Mercedes emblem on the ground. Looks pretty cool. And then let's take a quick peek on the inside. Look at this red and black AMG leather. These seats are pretty well bolstered, comfortable, they look nice, and you've got ambient lighting galore in here. I can't wait to show you. All right, y'all, hopping inside. This is where things get really interesting. Push button start. We'll do a quick run through here because I have a full detailed daytime review of the interior. But obviously, as you can see, the ambient lighting is one of the biggest attractions or distractions in this interior, and we'll talk about that in just a second. We're gonna go through the controls, all the displays, where the lights are, and all of that. So on the door panel, you've got your seat controls, you've got lights for your memory settings, heated seats, lights in the door handle itself, around the panel, lock buttons, window buttons, lights on your armrest, and even a little bit of a glow down at the cup holders. You can't really see much. There's not actual lighting inside of there, but there is some footwell lighting down here. Just to the left of the steering wheel, more ambient lighting and your actual light controls. You've got automatic settings, no fog lights, but you do have you actually have a rear fog light, but no front fog lights. Steering wheel buttons have a white backlighting on them. As you can see, they look nice, not too bright, not too annoying. And then your shifter's actually up here, which does have some lighting on that. This display is standard, typical Mercedes display. You've got a few different views you can do on here or different information you can see. Up overhead, we have our head-up display as part of our Pinnacle trim package. Then coming across, you get a nearly 12-inch screen right here lighting around the air vents. And check this out. They'll change colors. I just turned the temperature up. They turned red, turned the temperature down. They turned blue. That's pretty cool. This screen will come with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but if we just back out of here and let's go to settings, let's say we go to system, displays, display brightness. This is where you can adjust this display of this screen wherever you want it to, or you can adjust the display brightness for this front display over there too. And when you do the driver display brightness, not only does it do the display, it also does the buttons in here, like steering wheel buttons, buttons around you. So that's how you determine that. If you go to light, turn on your daytime running lights, interior, exterior lighting, you can see that, projection on the ground from earlier. The ambient lighting is what is really cool, and we'll talk about that more in just a sec. Dual zone climate control, the screen is integrated well. More buttons that are illuminated like drive modes, your camera. Let's actually take a look at that at night. I'm in a dark spot right now. Where I filmed earlier it was bright, but it is dark around the car and you can see extremely well. Just down from there, we have illumination in our cup holders. You have an illuminated USB charging port, and there's even a little illumination up there where that phone is because that's a wireless charging mat. Ambient lighting runs all the way down in here over the armrest, and we have illumination in here with some backlit USB-C buttons. More footwell lighting, ambient lighting over here, and the glove box is super bright. That is an automatic dimming rearview mirror. There's even some ambient lighting up around this upper portion here. And the interior lighting is different than some other Mercedes models. The map lights don't actually come out of the rearview mirror like they do in some. You've got illumination for your sunroof. These little tiny lines right there are your individual reading or map lights, whatever you want to call it. You can turn them both on with a big button, and then they're really bright. And when they're both on, it is super bright. I mean, they light this up really well, but they're really kind of slim, so they're not like in your face blinding bright if you actually turn them on at night. If you just tap, then you get a more gentle reading type light. And it's nice, you can even control the trunk, or not the trunk, but like back seat lights with that button. And it's always nice to be able to turn off or on the light when you open the door. You can do that with that. But the ambient lighting is probably one of the big reasons that you're here. There's so much that you can do. You can make it all one color, and then you can go through all the different colors. You can see it's on red. It just changed everything to red. And this is a complete bleed out red everywhere. I mean, the interior seats in here are red too. It's just crazy. Or whatever color you make it. I honestly like having the option for multicolor, and there's different themes for it. So you can have a couple different variations of colors on there. But with that one, check it out. You've got a variation of colors below, above, depending on where you're looking. And I have another setting on here that can make it be an animation, so it will kind of constantly change colors gradually as you sit here. Now look, some of you will complain about this being distracting. I totally understand. You can adjust the brightness. You can turn it completely off if you want. Look, now it's just completely pitch black like any other cabin. You can have it be on just a hint if you want very light, very dim driving experience. You can do that. You can also customize depending on which part you want to be bright or not bright. So that is awesome to have that. And the multicolor animation is what I have selected, to where it actually changes the color. You can have the ambient lighting blink to warn you getting out of the vehicle if there's an approaching vehicle, or have the lights go with different colors with the climate. But what color would you do? How bright would you have it? Would it be distracting for you? I'm going to turn it all back up and give you another look. It's just such a cool cabin. I love Mercedes ambient lighting. Now as we line up on a wall, you can see the beam pattern looks pretty good from left to right. We've got a little tiny dip right there to prevent blinding oncoming drivers. This is nice and wide, a nice strong beam pattern right here. If we turn the high beams on, good and bright right there. They look different when the automatic high beams come on. It's real subtle. There's no fog lights up front, so your width is not that great. It's not bad. The IIHS does not have ratings for this 2022 model, which is redesigned, but the previous 2021 model could get anything from a good to a lower rating, depending on if it had adaptive lights or not. This one does not have the available adaptive lights though. Now as we pan out front over a distance here, I always line up on this hill. You can see the fire hydrant red posts are fairly well illuminated. The left side, about average, I would say. You've got the standard dip right there to prevent blinding oncoming drivers, but this is pretty wide and pretty bright overall. And a flick of the high beams right there, that's decently bright up on that hill too. Let's see how they do. All right, y'all, we're finally behind the wheel of this C-Class, and in this night drive, I want you to get an idea of what it's like to drive this car at night. Now, keep in mind, this does not have the optional adaptive lighting system, but this does have the automatic high beams. And keep in mind, depending on your market, your headlights might perform differently than these and have different laws. But I'm going to show you what it's like with the automatic high beams on some dark roads, some semi-lit roads, and on some short little corners. The high beams actually just turned on in a little crescendoed effect. They kind of just gradually brighten, which is cool, but it's not the most practical in the sense of sometimes you'll have intermittent times where the automatic high beams will be on a short period of time, and it takes a few seconds for them to get full brightness. If you want to see more details of a full review, be sure to check out the more extended drive in the description below, coming shortly after this video. But this one just has the 2-liter 4-cylinder. It's nothing to sneeze at, but it's certainly not that enjoyable to drive. It's got decent pep, good torque, but more details about that in the full review. Now, quick note is that we have an automatic dimming review mirror up here, and the overall ambiance in here is just fantastic. You can turn the lights off. If it's distracting for you, you can turn it off. I dim them myself sometimes depending on where I'm driving. If I'm driving in town, I leave them on. If I'm driving out of town and there's not much for lights around, I dim them down. And you can even tell Mercedes to do that for you if you want. Hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
turn the ambient lighting off.
I'm turning off the ambient light.
Check it out. Alright, so I just turned them back on to a brightness level of 9 out of 20, so about halfway, but we'll get on a dark road here. Alright y'all, we're just finally getting on a dark road now. We're going to see how these automatic high beams do, what the distance is, and the automatic high beams are on now. These are just pure high beams coming up. The high beams seem to have good distance here, maybe not perfect or excellent, but good distance. I'm gonna go just the low beams coming into this corner, and it leveled out pretty quickly. The high beams turned back on. Okay, now I got the automatic high beams off. So just the low beams going around the corner. Keep in mind, no adaptive function on this model. This is still doing okay. There's actually some extra lighting from the houses around right now, but these lights are nice and bright. We'll get a darker stretch right here. Just the low beams right now. I can see reflectors quite a ways off. The distance seems to be okay. Now, automatic high beams, I turned them on, and the gradual high beam light. These lights are good. I don't know if I can say that they're great, but I think that they're confidence inspiring, and if you're coming from pretty much any other older vehicle, you're going to be happy with these. High beam corner to the right. I wish that these were the adaptive ones, but you got to pay extra for those, even on this Pinnacle trim. Let's go just the low beams to the left. It's looking all right. Low beams out on this stretch. Distance is okay, not perfect, but I can still see a decent distance up there. Now, width-wise, the peripheral vision, it's okay, but it's not great. It's not as good as some vehicles with fog lights or some vehicles in general, but we'll get a little better idea in just a sec. Okay, now I'm stopped at the spot where I like to take a couple little sharp turns, and some vehicles are so narrow-sighted with their headlights, you have zero peripherals. Right here, you'll be able to see it better in a second, but I can see where I'm going to be going fairly well, better than what I can in some. So as we start to turn to the left, I could already see what that was. It's not a completely blind turn. And then as I'm gonna go turn to the right, I can still see fairly well over there, to where it's not like I'm turning into a pitch black section. So overall, these headlights have done a good job. I wouldn't be surprised if they get the best rating from the IIHS when they get rated, but the interior ambient lighting is my absolute favorite. I love it. I love the customization of it, the different colors. It's like a pure party mode in here. But let me know what you think. Give it a thumbs up if you liked this video. Subscribe for more night reviews, and have a great night.